portion of the news brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Last evening, history was made as the government passed landmark legislation affording equal rights to the disabled.
The Prime Minister said he was pleased to be a part of such an important piece of legislation. Candido Knowles has feedback from the nation's leader to a matter close to his heart.
Prime Minister the Right Honourable Perry Christie, during his wrap-up of the debate on the Equal Opportunities Bill for persons with disabilities, leaned on his experiences as a parent of an autistic child and talked about the legislation being near and dear to him. The Prime Minister looked to those disabled persons gathered in the visitors' gallery in the lower chamber, saying each could account for the difficulties they face on a daily basis, while parents could tell of the harrowing ordeal it is in raising a child that's disabled. An all-inclusive bill, the legislation requires both the public and private sector to make the necessary provisions, as well as allowing disabled people greater participation in the society. And although the bill is now law, Prime Minister Christie says it is still a work in progress.
To the disabled community, wherever you may be, as you get to know the contents of this bill and your rights, we're going to depend on you and your experiences to tell us what else we have to do. You see, because we're going to find that no matter how exact we were and how comprehensive we thought we were, that there's going to be a need to examine the legislation and allow the circumstances, the living circumstances and experiences of persons who are disabled to inform public policy wherever it is necessary for the changes that might have to come about.
And more than that, the Prime Minister said the law will bring peace of mind to parents who fear the worst for their kids if and when they are no longer alive.
Even if the siblings of the child are unable to take care of him or her, the state, the country will have the facilities in place to do that.
And as the legislation touches home for many, the Prime Minister said it will promote a new culture of inclusiveness that will put the Bahamas on par with other countries around the world. Candido Knowles, ZNS Network News.
They're not resisting the bill creating easy access for the disabled to their places of business, but business persons say they are concerned about what new disabled-friendly requirements will cost them. Our Janaea Noel Ferguson spoke with the CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, Edison Sumner, about the new developments.
CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, Edison Sumner, says the business community applauds the government on the passing of the disabilities bill. He said with initial concerns being worked out, the bill's passage will increase business costs.
Many businesses might find themselves in a place where they may have to make certain adjustments to their buildings, certain adjustments in their terms of engagement for their staff and employees. And it's going to have an effect, I think, also on the transportation industry, being sure that public transportation is adequately equipped to accommodate persons with disabilities. So there is going to be a cost element to this.
While pleased with the bill, Sumner says many of the changes in terms of infrastructure for businesses have already been in place. There is a concern, however, about how insurance coverage will be provided for employees with disability.
The private insurance companies also have to be able to secure reinsurance for their businesses, which means they've got to go out into the international market and they've got to find reinsurers who are prepared to underwrite their risks. So to give it a carte blanche and say that you must do this, you must insure persons with disabilities or give them the access to the insurance coverage, it's a good thing to say that, but I think the insurance companies themselves will find that they will still have to assess the risk on an individual basis to determine whether it's a coverage that they can provide.
Insurance coverage for the disabled might be a moot point if the National Health Insurance Scheme comes into effect next year. The chamber head said with this cost and next year's value-added tax, the business community continues to seek answers in order to prepare for next year.
It is difficult to manage what you cannot measure. And if we cannot measure what that's going to be next year, it's going to be very difficult for businesses to plan into that. Budgeting is a very, very serious thing, especially for large companies. The smaller companies would also prepare budgets, maybe not to the same degree as some of the larger ones. But unless we know what's happening, it's difficult to plan. So that is a big deal.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
The new U.S. Charge d'Affaires, Lisa Johnson, paid a courtesy call on Transport and Aviation Minister, the Honorable Glenys Hanna Martin, today. Johnson noted that the Bahamas and the U.S. have maintained strong relations despite concern over the recently released U.S. State report.
Between the United States and the Bahamas is very strong. The Investment Climate Report is something we issue 80 countries worldwide. We do it every year. People who have read the report will see it commends a number of things that the government has done and a number of initiatives in this country. We are encouraging Americans and American companies to invest here. The media, of course, is going to go to the one or two negative sentences and grab it. And that's politics. I don't think it's reflective at all of the relationship between our two countries.
Meantime, Minister Hanna Martin noted that our countries will continue to collaborate on matters of mutual interest and cooperation.
The relationship between the United States and the Bahamas as relates to air navigation is long-standing, very strong, and mutually cooperative. We're now moving to another phase in our dialogue which seeks to formally regularize the relationship that has been ongoing. The talks began in the Bahamas several months ago. We'll be continuing in Washington August 12th. And we expect that that will be constructive and will lead to the desired result, which is a formal sort of parameters of the relationship.
Coming up in sports, the prison challengers took to the court against the NIB Kings last night. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news was brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.